Hey y'all, Natalie. Welcome to my tiny house. You are in my kitchen. I love this space so much, so I'm particularly excited to be filming from here. We're going to be talking about how to declutter your kitchen, not only your dry food and your fridge, freezer food, but also how to kind of declutter and reorganize a little bit, maybe some of your items in your kitchen, so like cooking utensils and storage containers and oven mitts. How many oven mitts do you have in your house? I'm excited to be going through some steps that will guide you to doing that. Just a quick note on kitchens. If you particularly have a large kitchen or it's been a while since you've gone in there and organized and kind of decluttered a little bit, remember how important the kitchen is, not only in your home. A lot of times it's considered the heart of the home. It may be where you hang out the most, but it's also what's central to your health and wellness, because the food that we eat is the most direct connection we have with nutrition. And so when you have a clean refrigerator and you can clearly see your vegetables and fruit, and you can clearly see your grains and legumes and spices in your pantry, and you know exactly what pans to use, and it's not a guessing game because your kitchen is functional, it's simple, it's clean, and quite frankly, it's beautiful, then you're inspired to cook, then you're inspired to use your kitchen, and you're inspired to go back there because you know it's not just this overwhelming place. So starting with our dry goods, you want to start to pull out everything. And so create a space on your countertop if you have a big dining room table or a kitchen table. And the first thing we're gonna do is check expiration dates. I want you to get rid of anything that's expired. Do not be, this is like cut and dry. This has nothing to do with your emotions. If you wanna keep it, none of that. Just, if it's expired, we're going to set it aside, and you either throw it out, take the food out of it and recycle the container, or compost whatever's inside, and you're not donating, you're not saving. This is, if it's expired, we get rid of. I love when things are cut and dry. All right, the next one is we're going to pull out the remaining items that are good onto the table, and I want you to start to recognize and just see what you have, because so many times we have too much stuff in the house and then you can't quite remember what you have because there's so many things and you can't visually see labels, you can't visually see things. Well, there are 3 questions I want you to ask with the food that you did pull out and that you're looking at. First, I want you to ask, does this food make me feel good? When I eat this peanut butter, do I feel good during and after I eat it? When I have this gluten-free soy sauce, do I feel good when I eat it and after I'm done eating it? If the answer is no, maybe it's something you're not going to buy again. So that's the next question is, would you buy this again? The third question you can ask yourself when you look at these food items that you are potentially keeping is, do you have to exhibit any sort of self-control? So if I had, which I don't have, if I had like a whole bunch of cookies, it's like, do I have to exhibit self-control in my own home to eat this or not eat, to not eat this? And if the answer is yes, I want you to seriously consider, like, is that something you're gonna buy again? Or is it something that you get when you go to a restaurant and when you're out with friends? I love keeping really tempting foods like processed foods and sweets and cookies and things like that out of my home, because then when I go out, then it's actually what it's called, a treat. It's a treat, and it should be considered that and not something that you have every single day in your home. Okay, so now that your storage space is clear, I want you to then just give it a little rinse. So I love having, need to make more. I love having a water, vinegar, essential oil cleaning spray that I use on countertops, that I use inside the fridge freezer. It's just an all-purpose, non-toxic, chemical-free spray that you can make right at home. So I just take a clear spray bottle, and then I fill it maybe 3 parts water, 1 part white vinegar, and then about 10 drops of any essential oil that you want your kitchen to smell like. So I love lemon and orange and juniper, even chamomile is really good. So you're gonna give your spaces a clean. The last part that I want you to do is putting these foods back in a methodical way. So kind of 2 parts to this. One is put foods together that you are going to grab at a similar time. So I'm a big fan of like, here's my breakfast foods, or here's my dinner foods, or here are all my vinegars, or here are all my fats. That's kind of what I have right here. And then lastly, I want you to place them so that the label is out. So when it's like this, you don't necessarily remember what it is, or it's not gonna like spark you when you open the pantry and you're looking for something. But if you see that this is, oh, this is balsamic glaze, and you clearly see it because the label is out, you're going to be more inspired to use it. You're going to be more in tune with like what you have. So for me, because this is a storage space going down, on some of my containers, I actually took a marker and I wrote on top of it so that when I slide this out, I can see honey, ghee, coconut oil. Actually, I can put sunflower seeds on this one. And voila! For your refrigerator and freezer foods, we're gonna go about it in the same exact steps. So you're gonna go through, you're gonna pull everything out, anything that's expired. I don't have a lot in my freezer right now. Coffee! And to ask yourself those questions of, does this make me feel good? Would I buy it again? Do I have to practice any self-control with this? Give your fridge, freezer a spray down. This vinegar spray is excellent for that, either taking a dry cloth or a paper towel, and then putting everything back in, label out, in organized categories where you're like, okay, here are all my condiments, here are all my veggies, here are all my cheeses, things like that. So let's transition to talking about your actual kitchen items, your kitchen space, and we are finished with food. So the first thing that I want you to do is really simple because it doesn't have anything to do with pulling everything out first. I want you to simply go through your kitchen in just one space at a time. So like maybe start with your cooking utensils, and I want you to take out any spares. Do you have how many wooden spoons? How many spatulas? How many ladles? And I want you to pare down so that you don't have spares of really anything. Pots and pans, dishware, cups, mugs. How many coffee, tea mugs do you have that you use in your house? How many storage containers do you have? I am known for being someone who loves mason jars. My partner teases me for it, but I love them because they're so versatile. Because not only is it something that I can store food in, but I drink out of this sometimes too. How many pot grippies do you have? How many kitchen towels do you have? So going through your kitchen and paring down anything you have multiples of is a great place to start, because you don't have to pull everything out and you can instantly kind of see where, you know, you can start to declutter and get rid of. So have a box or a bag. Maybe it's things you're donating. Maybe it's going to be something you give to a friend or a sibling. But go ahead and set those things aside and just pull those things out of the kitchen. So 2 questions you can ask yourself when you're going through this process is, A, do I use this? So I have one of the magic NutriBullets, and so I'm asking myself, do I use this? And then the second question is, does it make my life easier? And if the answer to both of those questions are no, bye. If it's yes and no, then go with your gut instinct. If you ever have to like stop and convince yourself of like, oh, I'll start making smoothies tomorrow, You know, if you really have to convince yourself, just get rid of it. So some other tips that I want you to consider to keeping your kitchen decluttered and to keep it nice and fresh and open is to keep your countertops and your sink clear. This allows you to walk in and out of your kitchen feeling good, feeling light, because any sort of physical clutter turns into mental clutter. It also allows you to begin cooking right away, and you don't have to clean anything up, so it actually inspires easy cooking. Another tip is to keep whatever you want to be using, keep that out front and center. So I'm a big fan of having fresh herbs, and right now I have cilantro from the store. And then I'm also growing some basil and some mint from my friend's farm. And so I have these front and center, A, because they're food that I want to be eating, because all of these herbs are really good for me. B, they're beautiful, and it's super fun to be to have the green out. Like, it looks beautiful to have green on the counter, and then it reminds me to use it because it's out, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's put cilantro on my tacos because that's gonna taste really good. And I remember because it's just staring me in the face. Another one for me is keeping my spices out. I have a really beautiful spice rack back here that I made with none else than mason jars, and then I super glued some magnets on. So when my partner and I designed and built this house, I was really into having a really awesome spice rack, and then I just wrote with a permanent marker the name, so that if I ever need to change out the spice, I can clean these, I can wipe that off and put a new name, and then I can switch out which spices are in which container. But by having it out, again, it stares me in the face. So as I'm cooking right here, then I'm kind of like assessing my spice situation. I'm like, oh, what would be good in here? Like curry would be good in here, ginger would be good in here, or if I'm cooking something savory, it's like, oh, let's add a little bit of clove. And lastly, the thing that I have on my counter that I absolutely love is I have a water station. So in the corner, I have this really beautiful tile. It doesn't need to be there, but I like to keep any sort of glasses off the wood counter if possible. So I have that in the corner, and then I have my water glass. So I want to invite you to create a water station on your kitchen counter and to keep it full of water in a glass jar, a mason jar. And I have a reusable glass straw that's just not necessary, but it's just fun. So anything to make it easy to remember, to keep it out visually, so that you, when you're walking by, like whenever I go to the bathroom, this door behind me is our bathroom, so whenever I go past it, I'm like, oh yeah, like just have a sip and then move on. I'm also a big fan of filtered water, so this is part of my water station as well. So unfiltered water for doing dishes and things like that, and then I have the Berkey filter for filtered water for drinking water. And I love having my water station, and I like to keep it in the corner just to kind of keep it out of the way, but it's still visual, but it's still in my line of sight, and I remember to drink water because it's staring me in the face. I hope this was helpful to declutter and kind of refreshen your kitchen, and to hopefully inspire a few minimalist practices, so that, right, the whole goal is that you feel good about being in your kitchen. It's easy to find what you need. You're able to cook beautiful and nutritious food, and you want to keep coming back to your kitchen because it's just such a great space to be in.